Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, people. What's up? Welcome to the Super Conscious Outlet. And tonight we got a hot topic, and it's gonna be a good show. So before we get started, I want to bring in my beautiful co-host, Koshana Queta Jones, and let her, say what she has to say. So, Koshana, you ready?
I'm ready, Brother God. Before we start, let's give a shout-out to our sponsors. First, we want to shout out Universal Radio at facebook.com/Universal Radio 2. Brother God, Amin-Ra Darby, he's an author of children's books. His latest children's book was Swazi Baka, and his new release is Cultivated Mentality. You can purchase them at aminradarby.com or amazon.com, and they're also available on ebook. Next, we want to shout out one of our favorite pages on Facebook, Blacks Be Like, facebook.com. You can find them at facebook.com/BlacksBeLike1. Also, a shout out to our brother God, Devon Allen. He has the Reshape the People's Workout and Meal Plan. You can contact this brother at 310-438-0154 or email him at dthings, D as in David, THINGS 1236 at AOL.com. Also, a major shout out to our favorite page, also My Sister's Keeper. You can find them at My Sister's Keeper. Sister are spelled SISTARS, Keeper on Facebook. And I do want to give another shout out to Blessed Love. Tomorrow night, if you're located in the greater Los Angeles area, they will be hosting Dr. Umar Johnson. He'll be coming down to conduct a lecture. You can find them at 1404 West Vernon Avenue, Los Angeles, California. That will be tomorrow night. They will start at 5 p.m., and their general admission is $20, and for students, you get a discount of $5. So major shout-out to all of our supporters.
Okay. Well, so how you feel about going into this topic tonight that we're going to be discussing?
I'm excited about it. It's very deep, and it's freeing, though. It's a freeing topic. It's something that we do need to discuss as spiritual beings because sexuality and sexual energy is a natural part of our nature. And then sometimes we hold and restrain that energy, and it causes, dysfunctional vibrations in our vibration. So I thought it was a great topic to discuss, and I'm interested in seeing where it goes.
Yeah, well, you know what I've learned is some things we don't come across until we live it. You know what I mean? So as I start, looking and reflecting back upon my own life, and I realize that the vast majority of us are just not sexually, plain and simple.
Right.
I mean, we learn sex from, whether it be TVs, magazines, porno movies, or whatever, or from whatever our friends tell us. But we never really tap into, the depth of the act that we're committing when we just say intertwine, for lack of a better word, with another human being that close as to where we actually, being a male, I never took it serious that, I'm entering inside another human being. I'm inside of this, a female woman. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, being careless and young, we live and we learn. So it was, sex has always been a major topic to me because it was so taboo, amongst, most adults. So as I started doing my own research and I started, just researching and studying it and wanting to know more about it, I found that it's a big part. Not only is this a big part of who we are, but when we exchange that gift, it's a very, very powerful exchange.
Yeah, it is.
So then going more in depth, I've also learned that, as males being, the ejectors and the female being the receptor, that she is receiving a part of you when you eject inside of her. And that just kind of left me just like, I was a little bit dumbfounded, like, wow, So this affects her long after the act is committed. Then I had to do more research. I'm like, well, how is that possible? And then they put it in simple terms, which brought up the topic of this, the topic that we're going to speak on tonight. It's because she's receiving a part of my spirit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So
and
even after the act is happened, long gone, now she's been affected by me. You know what I mean? More so than she or I may know. And that just kind of left me like, wow, this is really powerful. And so, when I started learning that made me think, I have to be more particular, and I have to be more, I have to put more thought into it, because at one point as males, it's like, man, let's take them down. How many? You know what I mean? Let's just put a notch on our belt, whatever. Let's take them down. You hit that, I hit that. I'm going to hit that. I mean, we're going to keep the real raw, simple tonight. Everybody that knows, whoever should know their level of enlightenment. Tonight, we're going to get real. So, I mean, that's just my introduction, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to go from there. And like I said, we got a beautiful co-host that has a lot of information on this topic. And she's going to be willing to share when we bring her on. So, I hope everybody's just ready to get it on,
For me, one of the things that I found amazing, I was reading something, I don't know where I read it at. I've been reading a whole lot about this in the last week or so, but I read something that said, when you meet people who seem really confused or kind of confused within their own being, that are very sexual and they've been with a lot of people, it's because a lot of different energy has been left on them. So you meet a lot of women and you're like, wow, she's kind of crazy, but she has a mixture of energies because of all the partners that she has. I think Dr. Umar Johnson even said in one of his lectures that energy is left on a female. So she can have sex with someone and that energy will go with her everywhere she goes. And all those different partners that you add to that energy, they're still left on you because we're, like you said, we're receiving. We're open and we're receiving. Another thing that I thought was real amazing about sexual energy is that it's primal and it's creative. It is the energy that creates universes. We don't realize that a lot of things come from sexual energy. All of life form is coming from a sexual energy. So we've been taught to be real inhibited or, ashamed of our sexual energy. And as we recognize as being spiritual beings and, a powerful creation that's on a ball in the middle of nowhere, sex is so a part of our nature that we have to explore it. It is not just a part of our nature, it's a major component to our life even existing. If it wasn't for the sex act that your parents did, would you be here? While we're taught to think of it in such a shameful way, a lot of, you'll notice you have to understand that there's a strong power there. That's why the priests and the preachers and all of them say don't have sex and they keep away from it because the energy is so powerful. So it's something to definitely explore, and I'm really excited about listening to Goddess Michela when she comes on and she breaks down the topic of how the yoni power works and how it's healing and how it's destructive to our people. So I like to I can't wait to get in depth on that.
Right. Well, just on what you said, the brief one you said about when these priests and these nuns, they take a vow of abstinence and celibacy. That's basically what it is. This is why they commit so many of the foul acts that they do. And then this is something that the Christian tradition has taught us, that it was perverted, but in these closed doors and these dark dungeons, they actually engaged in all this this weird type of sex. Sex that goes against the natural union of sex. And this is where all these other energies came from, because truly the sex was designed for male and female. Okay, we're not going to go into that. We're not going to knock anybody or downplay anybody, but it's just natural because it fits.
Right.
You don't need rocket science. You don't need nobody to tell you So what happened was these unnatural sex acts were actually created under the guise of religion. Now, I can get a lot of flack from that, a lot of feedback. And then if I get some calls tonight, then I'll gladly discuss where my information comes from and tell them why I know it's unnatural. But I don't know. I guess without further ado, we can go ahead and bring in our guest tonight and allow the Mother Goddess to embrace us, enlighten us, and just go in depth on this, because it's really a big part of evolution that we're missing. When you try to abstain from sex, that is also unnatural. Not having a partner or trying to be, we bring all these other things into it, and we kind of lose the sacredness of it. You know what I mean? With these, what's this new saying they got out of? The hookup. Like the hookup. It's like, I don't need to be committed. You know what I mean? I want to get mine off because everybody has a desire. So they don't want to go into the whole relationship thing, so they just hook up, you know what I'm saying, with, Manny, Mo, and Jack, and then next thing you know, they're confused, you know what I mean, just like you said, because they receive all these multiple energies, and then all these spirits are inside of them. And tonight, you know what I mean, this may be partially received, but, a lot of people will not really look at it because it's an in-depth subject. It's really an educational topic, and, I think it's better that we teach and be open and honest with our own children first, but with the youth, more important, to teach them the importance of sex, and not that it's a bad thing, not that it's something that you should try to refrain from, you know what I mean? But you need to be at an age where you're ready. You need to understand the responsibility, not just not getting pregnant. You need to know what you're allowing yourself to partake in. You know what I mean? The solution is not give them a pack of rubbers and go ahead and do it. That's not the solution, but that's just my opinion. But, anyway, before we go any further, you know what I mean, I just want to take the time and say thank you, you know what I'm saying, for being my co-host. I want to give a big shout-out to Zenraya, the engineer. And then let's go ahead and bring Michelle in.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, Goddess.
Wow, this is amazing. I feel so delighted and honored to be part of this network. You've brought me in several different occasions, informally, and now this is a formal introduction. And I want to say thank you because we talk about the power of manifestation, and I know I said this to somebody verbally. Not even 4 weeks ago. Maybe it could have been 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I said, let me just give just a little bit, because this really is a testament to the power of manifestation and this whole manifestation that is evident through your radio program. So this that needs to be said. So 5 or 6 years ago, with my Queen Mother, she introduced me to the world of radio. She was in broadcasting and news media in Richmond, Virginia. Then for years came to California and then pulled me under her wing and taught me everything about broadcasting. And when I say everything, I mean any and everything, from being on internet broadcasting to actual satellite or terrestrial radio, which is your regular radio stations, and then as well as visual communication through video media. And so she taught me all of that. And I interviewed, and how she did that was not only helping me learn the engineering part of it, but I also became the co-host, a host and co-host, much the same as yourself and my daughter Goddess Koshana, God King Roderick and Koshana. And so I did Burnt Toast and Coffee Time with Michelle in the morning for about a year and a half. I did entertainment weekly on Friday evening. Watch this. The title of that show was Yin and Yang Entertainment. And so, and that was on Friday night. And so I had done all this interviewing with all these different people. And literally, I don't even think it was 4 weeks ago, I said, I've been taught so much, and I know I'm supposed to share this what I've been taught, but on the other end, and I just feel like right now I just want to be now on the other end where now I can give away the information instead of being on this other side where I'm actually engineering, to support it, because this has to be shared. All of this stuff that my Queen Mothers and beautiful people have taught me, this has to be shared. I spoke that out. I don't even think it was 4 weeks ago. And
wow.
literally yes, you talk about power of manifestation.
Yeah, that's
right.
And so here I'm sitting on the show, but this wasn't the first show, but it's the first show of this particular kind, which I'm speaking about, is where my heart is, because this is where I went into my healing work for women in regards to yoni health. And so when I'm saying that this is the power of manifestation, your manifestation at having a conscious radio network is also the link and web to my manifestation. We are all one, and that's why I needed to say that, that this was not a separate initial spark. Literally, these were firing off as web centrals. Literally, and I don't mean as in, I'm not talking about the internet web. I'm talking about our web.
Web of creation.
Literally, exactly.
Web of creation.
And so, absolutely. It's amazing. I just needed to
I know when the topic came up, the first name that came to me was Mama Michela. It just was so loud, I had Rod up, like, Mama Michela is perfect. And so I definitely picked up on that frequency. Yeah.
You told me that. I mean, as soon as I brought the topic up, and you was like, yeah, then I think it was like 1 minute later, it was like, well, what about her as a guest? I'm like, she's perfect. But you know what? I follow your post. You know what I'm saying? So, I post a lot, but I don't just post. I also read a lot. You know what I mean? So I follow you. So I've seen this, where, you were going through this. I even seen some personal things that you went through, and what may have seemed, kind of traumatizing at the time, it kind of pushed you into your enlightenment, so to speak. That's what I really appreciated about you. It's like, okay, so she didn't wallow in her sorrow. I mean, she got up and made a better tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That's something my father used to tell me. He said, I raised a warrior daughter. He says, you're a fighter and a survivor. And so then I switched that. I said, I don't just survive, because that's a different kind of story. A survivor always speaks in the victim, past tense of victim. A thriver does not speak in the past tense of victimization. They speak in living and healed. They speak in the evolution of being well, manifesting wellness as an ongoing production of their self. And so therefore I got out of that. You've got to get beyond surviving. You've got to get beyond surviving. And so this is interesting, because we're talking about spirituality in sexuality, or spirituality in sex. And there's a very beautiful quote. I need to say it, or not. Yes, there's a quote, but let me just say this statement, or the word Buddhadvam, Yosit Yonis Samasritam, which is basically the words for enlightenment resides in the sexual parts of women.
Buddha.
Exactly. And so here, one of my beautiful quotes, and this is an Osho quote, which I absolutely love: you can be intense in sex, and you may not be sincere, because sex is not necessarily love. You may be very, very intense in your sexuality, but once sexuality is fulfilled, it is finished, the intensity gone. Love may not look so intense, but it is sincere. And because it is sincere, the intensity continues. In fact, if you are really in love, it becomes a timelessness. It is always intense and makes a clear distinction. If you are intense without sincerity, you cannot be forever intense. Only momentarily you can be intense. When the desire arises, you are intense. It is not necessarily your intensity. It is enforced by the desire. That's Osho on sex. So the reality is that intent that we engage in that sexual union. and really comprehending what's happening at the sexual level of our bodies when we connect. And there was a piece of that when you think about it on the physical, mental level, so that there would be this procreative measure to make sure that this mankind, okay, and so there's three different types of groups here, mankind, continue to procreate. And we continue to procreate. And so there's the neurochemistry of sex. And that's really important. Some people don't even comprehend how all of the neurons are the sexual attractors. The dopamine and the oxytocin and the phenylethylamine, the PEA, that's all involved in the energetic form of sexual connection, how it is an addiction. And once the addiction is done, then it now needs to find something else to counter or bring on more satisfying feeling.
Right. Well,
try to reach another high, if you will. And so what tends to happen is that in our first meeting someone, we meet them on a physical level. If you're meeting them on the physical level, it usually dies out in the spiritual level. However, if you're meeting them at the spiritual level, the intensity of the sexual level is always ever growing, which is very interesting. What that connection or how that connection is fostered. And what they're finding in the discovery of our yonis is that when we are having intimacy, the more you literally hold back from your orgasmic pressure and involve yourself in more emotional bonding during the intimacy, that you actually strengthen and increase the sexual desire for your partner. However, if the feeling or the connection with the person is solely sexual, and there's less time for, let's just say, foreplay, the less likely you will find yourself being involved with that person over a long span of time. Therefore, let's say you get tired of this one woman or this one man and you need a new high. So therefore, this is where we lose the spirituality in our sexuality, and we keep reaching for the new high instead of reaching for the spiritual evolution of the relationship, which is really powerful.
Excuse me for a moment, but allow me to interrupt you. Please forgive me. But I need to bring in a caller that's been in the queue for a minute, Jay Allen. So let's go ahead and bring Jay Allen on. Then we'll get back to the topic tonight. Go ahead, Jay Allen. You here with us?
Hey, what's up? How y'all doing?
What's up,
Hello, Brother God.
Great. I had a question. I wanted to know what is your opinion on, as far as when we're talking about the sexual energy, the exchange in energy when it comes to sex. Can you speak a little bit about the difference between how it affects a man versus how it affects a woman? In my experience, I think that what you just talked about was very key. You said a lot of times when you meet somebody, it's a physical attraction, the spiritual part kind of just, tends to die down. And I think a lot of times, especially us as men, we can get caught up with, hopping from situation to situation, without actually giving ourselves time to, look at ourselves and just, tear ourselves apart to kind of see what's really going on. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. Thank you. A lot of the information that I've studied, of course, is over time. So let me just put this out there so that no one gets twisted or confused. My work as a soul therapist or intuitive soul coach, I work with women specifically on yoni healing, inner goddess work. However, that also has led me into my studies and review of other information, not just my own experiences, but just the experiences of many women, and then, of course, my research. And so when I find information that is part of where I've researched, then I will make sure that I always quote, where that they can find this information so that they're not just hearing it from my mouth. They can actually go. So if you look up health science and spirit, you can actually find the information that I'm sharing with you so that you can actually see the study behind what I'm sharing with you today. So I did want to say that so that if anybody's saying, okay, is she a sex therapist? No, I'm not a sex therapist, although I am a yoni support healing coach for women. So let me just say that right off. What you're referring to, getting back to your topic, there is a major difference between women and men when it comes to their intimacy. And a lot of that, remember, it happens in the brain and it's a chemical reaction. Women and men secrete a certain hormone. We're talking about dopamine levels. The difference between, and I'll just make this really straight off the top, the dopamine levels fall off faster and quicker with a male than it does with female. It falls off quicker. That means very quickly the dopamine levels drop dramatically, which means they need the high again. Whereas the woman stays in her dopamine level, which her oxytocin hormone is elevated, which causes her to be more, where we say that, in love, and she gets real possessive with that mate, and she doesn't want to let him go. And so because her levels actually may stay up to 2 weeks in her body, making her very possessive, making her very, matter of fact, it even creates this manic depression in her where she becomes obsessive. Like she's calling him and she's wanting him and she's needing validation in his words. Do you love me? How did you like our sex? Am I pleasing you? Did I do it well? And then she's really wanting you to come back to her, not necessarily for the sex, but she knows that you'll stay there if she's giving you the sex, which is really now to keep her dopamine levels continued at the high, the peak, for the extended the oxytocin. Now, as where this changes for women, which is really interesting, is when she has a baby. Her oxytocin level changes and switches partners, if you will, from the partner to the baby, because now her oxytocin level increases from the release of releasing that baby now through the nurturing of her breast. And when she's nurturing that breast, that baby with her breast, then now she's the hormone is now released. And so now this nurturing now goes to the baby instead of now to the husband or the mate. And in that case, when that happens, he's now neglected, and now her attention is right to the baby, and the baby's always needing her. Because the baby is always needing her, she doesn't drop the baby. She doesn't drop the baby off. So in this case, this is why you'll find that there are emotional, mental, physical issues and spiritual issues that cause a separation between a mate and his new mother, his mate who now has given birth. And so there's got to be some understanding and balance that happens. But yes, there is a major difference as to why this man or male partner just quickly will release the female because his dopamine level dropped that quickly and needs a new high. Now, he can get that high with that woman, but when it wears off, then we're now dealing with another clinical study called the Coolidge effect. And that's where he's constantly, over a period of time, let's say the first 3 weeks, it could be the honeymoon stage, and he's doing it with her, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, God, this is just the most boring thing. But yet, let another woman come in the room, and he'll be trying to figure out how to chase her. It's not necessarily the new woman. It's the dopamine that he's needing. It's the rush that he gets that he's actually looking for.
Okay.
Wow.
Also, let me ask really quick. When you talked about the woman giving birth, so basically you're saying like that has to do kind of like with the postpartum depression.
Oh, absolutely. So when and that postpartum depression, because she's having a rush of all these hormones in her body, she is not able to she's literally like swimming through all of that hormone chemical stuff just released in her body. And a lot of times when that happens, there's a confusion and frustration to navigate through her emotional feelings because her brain literally is swimming through hormone releases. And so that would be for anybody. It's just like somebody released an ocean in your brain and you're trying to figure out how to swim to the top.
Right.
So, and that's basically what happens to the woman.
Okay, one more question. What would you say is the best way for a woman to deal with something like that as far as the postpartum depression?
Oh, wow. So I'm just going to tell you, I've had 4 children. And every woman has a different level or different issue. A lot of it is her diet. A lot of it is her support system. If she has a good support system of other women, and then also her mate, and gives her a release so that she can get fresh air if she's caught in the house all the time. These are different things that will affect how well she deals with the effects of postpartum. I know for myself, I want to say for my 3rd child, I had the baby blues. So I had 4 children. But for let me just say this: I've had 5 children. 4 of them are living, and this 3rd child gave me the blues. And I kid you not, I think I cried. I felt like I was purple because I cried so much with this baby. And at the same time, it's very interesting because your addiction to that baby, here we talked about the dopamine level, right? And the oxytocin being built up, you were just enmeshed with this baby, but you're supposed to. You're supposed to be overly concerned with this baby's welfare and well-being. And so, of course, I cut my husband off. And when I say I cut him off, I'm just like, ooh, just don't even look at me. Don't even touch me because my baby needs me. But at the same time, because my brain is flooded with all these different hormones, I couldn't even process. I needed a break from her as well. And I just remember, I think I cried for 5 days straight. I almost could, to the point I couldn't even move. And my girlfriend lived across the street. And she came over and she said, you need a break. Because if you don't take a break, I think you're just going to go take this baby and drop it off at the hospital. This is how she was concerned about me. And she says, and then after you need a break, she says, I need you. She goes, I'm going to take care of your day. She goes, and she goes, I want you to just, because I nurse full time. And she said, I need you to express your milk, put it in a bottle. We got the baby. We got your children. I need you 24 hours, and then we're going to do something for your husband. And she did that. Within 48 hours, I felt more energy toward my husband, who I now allowed for him to help me.
Right.
Okay. You see, you can see, So you can see how that dopamine drop and the oxytocin rising can actually affect cutting off the husband, and the husband's really trying to help, but your energies and your mind is flooded, and so it's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to process through that. So yes, outside help support is part of that assistance to navigate through that for the first year. Of dealing with the hormonal changes with the body, and then also for the mate, for that husband to actually dwell with this woman on a spiritual level in their sexuality, which is kind of where I wanted to tap into. With that being said, there are different types of sexual connection that allow bonding, which is where I believe most couples, and because of conditions are cultural conditions, and I'll say it that way, cultural conditions, that we've lost the art of spiritual love. We've lost that art especially in the Americas, and a lot of that is because we've been raped of our culture, and we were raped of our culture when we had to come to sit in a house on a land, and that black man, that African man with us, who may have came with us over to this side, He was stripped from us, so therefore he just procreates, and he's not sure how long he's going to be there, and he's not sure if mass is going to walk on him when he's doing it and take the woman that he's with. So
right.
I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that has happened in the
right.
male mind and the female mind, especially when
right.
you deal on cultural issues as to why, especially in the African community, why they're not able to allow the bonding to happen during their sexual union. And they're finding when you go ahead ask your question.
Let me interrupt. I just want to interrupt for a minute because it's a good topic and there's a lot of information that I want to share. I know Kashana wants to share too. And the information that you're giving, Jay Allen, is good information. But I do want to bring up some topics because you mentioned the yoni, and I watched your posts and things, and I see that there's also being some separation in here in which one is more powerful. I see there's another movement coming on. It's happening very slowly, but kind of rapid at the same pace, as to where there's a perception that I'm seeing that the yoni are, one is more powerful than the other. And I just wanted to stay on this topic. There is no male principle or no female principle that's more powerful than the other. I just wanted to say that. I mean, they're not,
yes, you're right. And you were so right.
Human beings control the world. Yeah.
So,
I'm going to give you some analogies, though. Human beings control the world. I mean, the first great earthly order is the bond between male and female. The first great spiritual order is in each of us and the Creator. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing. There's for long there's always been this dominance of male over female, and there is none. I mean, think about it. If you have a structure, and just look at us as a dynamic of a structure. Imagine a pillar, in geometry. So if we were without one, then there wouldn't be no pillar. You know what I mean? So that's what completes us, the unity between both. And I don't want people. I know that that the yoni thing is a new to a lot of people. Not to someone it's not as well as yourself. But I mean, people they start with I see them already, these little chats like excuse my language because we're all adults here, but like pussy power or to put the pussy down power, or I see some lady on Facebook that's a preacher or something. She's like, there's power in the dick. You know what I mean? The dick got all the power. The dick can make a woman do this. And I want people to get away from those concepts. And
right.
That the importance of each other and the bond that we have as between male and female. I just want to put that out there. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad you did. So let me just say this. When I speak about yoni healing, it's really about loving the divine feminine. I'm not a feminist, and so I will go on record and say that. Somebody might even say that they would even think I was a male chauvinist in a female body. See, because I believe that there are equal parts. We are created with both male and female hemispheres of our brain. You are both masculine and feminine. You are hermaphrodite and androgynous, all the same. And somebody says, you're a lesbian and a homosexual, I would say, yes, you're absolutely right. I would say yes, because I have both components in me. It's just the dominant feature of me is what I choose to express, or the dominant feature of him is choosing to express in his male form, in his male energy. However, it's very interesting. You can actually have a male man that is more feminine and a woman that's more masculine in her energetic exchange, and this is amazing. This is the bioenergy of sexuality. And she impregnates him in such a spiritual place, it causes him to be creative. He creates ideas and programs and organizations through the energy at which she gives him, because she impregnates him differently than how he impregnates her physically. And that could just really be right. And so they've exchanged this energy because she's more in the masculine energy of her dominant side, in her spiritual energy. So yes, you're very correct. And even though when you see me, and I'm speaking about yoni health, I'm really speaking about that woman's energy, getting back to where she's actually being within the full balance of her energy. She can't be one without the other. She can't be all with the pro-fem movement was so devoid of allowing masculine energy to support them that it was detrimental. And then you came up with large groups that were now extreme in that, so that no man could offer an idea or support or any of the part of a creative networking, which was to the detriment. I'm just going to say that is to the detriment. And now when you're coming into the divine feminine movement, and when I say movement, I'm talking about the awareness of divine feminine. It's really getting back to nurturing. And who do you nurture? Right. You nurture your mate. You nurture your children. You are less likely to be at war because you're now at a loving place. You're now at a forgiving place. And so that's what I'm referring to when we talk about yoni energy. So I do want to make that.
But what I want to do, I wanted to commend you because I think that it's excellent that because more women should be aware of they do possess a power as men do too. But it would be nonsensical for me to try to teach a woman about the power of her yoni. I mean, although I know about it, but I think I would be more effective in teaching males about the power in their phallus, the penis. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is I commend you because, again, these are terms that, everything that we're talking about tonight is things that we've been misguided on through the media, through miseducation, through grandparents, through old ways. And as you become an enlightened being, I mean, you have a desire to enlighten others. So what I'm speaking on is that, I appreciate what you're doing, but first and foremost, because I think women need to know that you have the power, just like you said, to nourish your man, to nurture your man, and to bring out that creativity. Now, when I speak on myself on a personal level, my wife, which is the mother of my 9-year-old daughter, her energy was so strong because now here's the deal. She wanted a girl, okay? And I'm going to tell you how strong her spiritual power was at the time. She wanted a girl. And she had no morning sickness. I couldn't even brush my teeth for the first 3 months because I was just throwing up every time. I carried all her symptoms.
Wow.
I mean, everything. So she just dominated me on that one. But the first one, I wasn't even aware of what I was trying to do. You know what I mean? Then we lost. Then when I became aware where I was going, you know what I mean, we were pregnant again. And I already said, well, this is my boy. You know what I mean? Sure enough, it was a boy. I mean, he didn't make it. We had some complications. And, again, my education, on the topic wasn't where it is now. If I had a chance to do it over again, I would be, sitting here. I probably wouldn't even be on the radio because I would be out playing with it right now. But, this was about 5, 6 years ago. I lost my chance to have my son. Okay, so I just wanted to let people know that what you're saying is valid. Whether, they're receiving it right now, you are planting the seed, but the spiritual bond that we share between each other is so strong that it overrides all sense of normalcy. I just wanted to put that out there.
Right.
And I want the people to know too. I know you have to go shortly, Michelle, but I just want the people to know that I'm not being rude because I get a lot of inboxes after the show. You were rude to interrupting it. I mean, as a host of a show, I gotta kind of do this. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that's all right because I can go on. Look I can go on. That's what I do.
I mean, I've talked to you on several occasions, so this I already know. But I appreciate it. As you know, I'm a talker. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And look I don't take offense. I don't take offense. No, but
I'm just saying that. I'm saying that for the people because like I said, I get a lot of flack. I mean, the other day, hey, you were rude and you were this, and I'm like, no. It's a format that we already kind of, we're not where we could just, see each other. Like we were in a radio control room. I can give you hand signals or something like, okay, like I'm going to come in. So I have to sometimes interrupt. But first
well,
of
look
all,
let me just say this. I want you to stop putting it out there, because what you do is
Right.
you bring back the energy to you for someone to keep saying it to you. So from this moment on,
Right.
it is what you do, and it is how you are. Make no apologies for you. Exactly. No apologies for any of your behavior. What you do on your radio show is how you do it. You make no answers. The only thing that matters is between what is agreeable between you and my daughter, Goddess Koshana Kweli. This is all that matters. And so don't speak that out anymore. Just it is what it is, and your radio show is exactly it is. So, so let that be done. Ashe, ashe.
Okay. Well, listen. I need you to go ahead. Cause I know you have prior engagements. But go ahead, finish enlightening us. Jay Allen, if you're still there, did she answer all your questions, or are you cool? You got understanding on what she said?
I have a question real quick.
Yeah, baby.
I have a question. Do you know why some women during pregnancy, why some women are so sexual, and why others are not very sexual at all? Like, what's going on? What's the difference? Like, I have a sister who's pregnant. We're both pregnant at the time, and like she's like this wild sexual maniac, and I'm like, what the heck? You know, doesn't your body hurt or isn't it uncomfortable? And she's like, she can't get enough of it. And so I'm trying to figure out what's going on with her chemistry that makes her. I'm normal with it. It's like, okay, we can or we can't. I'm gonna go to sleep. You know.
I'm gonna go to sleep.
Right. So I'm wondering. Go ahead, Mama.
I think it just is. It could be the energy of the baby. It could also be the time span that she. Where she's at in her pregnancy, because I don't know how far along she is as well.
She's only 2 weeks away from me.
She said, okay. So and I'm only going to give you my experience. And yes, there is a chemical difference. So let me just say, it has everything to do with the chemicals and hormones in your body and her body is acting differently from one baby to the next. So let me just say this. With my 4 children, I can tell you my first child, I didn't want to have any sex afterwards. After I got pregnant. My second child, I was okay. My third child, I was like, please just do not even look at me. My 4th child, I could not get enough.
Okay.
And so what I recognized, and I was at a whole different place. And that baby was truly a baby of immense love. I mean, and we named her Lydia, which is she's the hospitable one. That's what her name means. It's the maker of purple, the hospitable one. And so, that baby, I fell in love with the whole thing of his embracing me. He could touch me. Oh my gosh, I wanted him to touch me all over. I wanted him to just kiss all over my belly. I just was all over. I'd be naked all day long if I could. I mean, that's exactly how I was with that child. But now with the child beforehand, I just didn't even want to smell him. I was like, oh God, please leave. Same man.
Wow.
So I really believe it's whatever hormonal release that's within your body. You might be really balanced. So there's not necessarily anything wrong. You just might be really balanced. So it's like, yeah, we can go and we cannot go. And it's not either one way or the other.
Right. I'm at peace with both ways. And then,
so that's balance.
He's very affectionate and everything, but when I talk to her doctor even put her on pelvic rest. And she's still like, I have to get it. And I'm like, what? Girl, you're dilating already.
Wow, yeah.
The baby don't come out.
So that's a hormone. That is hormones in her body. And so every woman is carrying. And that also, remember we talk about food. It could be something she's eating that's triggering a need in her body. See, there are all kinds of things. Also, it could be, it could be other kind of stimulation. If he's rubbing her, giving her neck rubs, or at her ankles, if he's rubbing behind her Achilles heel, like he rubs her feet every night because they're sore, he could be stimulating that, and she's not realizing you are being stimulated. So she might have certain points on her body that if he touches them, they're releases. Another therapy, like massage therapy is actually called Bowen therapy, and Bowen therapy is where you lightly touch a meridian point of a central nervous system down the body. Most people don't know where those places are, but your mate might be touching them, and they actually cause a release in the body that will support the need or the desire. So he might be stroking this area and doesn't even realize that's her area.
Right.
You know, there's some men that if you just lightly touch behind their knee, they're like, oh my God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another man that's like, ooh, just please, that does not feel good. It's the same thing. It's that person. There's a spot on a person's body that is. These are meridian places or energy centers. Our body carries 88,000 chakras that support the 7/8 chakras in the body system. But there are 88,000 chakras. So can you imagine if there are all of these small, minute energy centers, and now they're resting at the meridian spots of the body, and now her mate is with her, and he just, every night, he just kind of lightly rubs there, and she's not even realizing that's stimulating. It's like overstimulating. That's extra stimulating. You see what I'm saying? So there's so many factors to that. And it doesn't mean that you're out of balance, and it doesn't mean that your mate's not rubbing your areas. It's just you just might be at a very relaxed place because you are at that. That's where you have controlled your hormone levels, which is a good thing. It doesn't mean she's out of control. It just means that she's getting a stimulation through some other means that's causing this trigger.
Right. I just think it's so interesting. Yeah.
So, however, I do want to thank you for allowing me to come on the show. This was a short show. I have another appointment at 6 p.m., and I wanted to come on and let everyone know where they can find the information so that they're able to read up on not only the physical part of the connection of our bodies, but the neuron or bioenergy of sexuality, which is really important. And let me just say this: they're finding that when you engage in what's the best way, foreplay, that is just caressing. And passionate kissing, but there's no penetration before, get this, before the 27 minute. Before 27 minutes. So the extended time between 27 and 30 minutes. That if you were engaged
I just gotta say this. Not to interrupt you, but that is phenomenal because I was just studying that today.
Yes.
I was just studying that the extended foreplay is so important because we always take it lightly. Again, I have to just say, I learned from porno movies, so I lick a tit here and there, rub it here and there, and let's go. You know what I mean? But just like you said, if you kind of refrain from those areas, you know what I'm saying, without touching the vagina, without even touching the nipples, and you start to caress the neck and other parts of the body, the arms are so important. I did not know that until today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you do this, it's a study. And I wish, I'm going to say it's in this particular piece of work. Hold on just one second, because I want to get the doctor's name. I don't want to just give this halfway. But let me finish this piece of it. So in performing this type of Dr. von Urban, what he discovered, so I digress a little bit. What he discovered is that when a couple engage in passionate foreplay, caressing foreplay, that there was an energy that was built up between them that actually could physically be felt and seen. So there was a study done, and this is really interesting, that they actually had couples in a dark room, and they, for 27 to 30 minutes, or for as long as they could, they would see the extended amount of time, 27 minutes or more, this energy would start to fold over the body, almost like a green soft hue. And if he would rub his hands away from her body, he could actually feel the energy from her body, and she could feel it from his hand, literally like kind of pinging her all over her body, just with his hands away from her body. After about 27 minutes, there was an energetic field that started to become between them and emerged. And so, therefore, now the physical part of the sexual union was more enhanced, which actually created a bond. With this type of energetic connection, what they found is that the desire to now have an orgasmic type of sex wasn't so much the necessity because of the satisfaction that occurred in the electrical connection, the bioenergy.
Oh, wow.
But most of us are so busy at trying to make the orgasm happen, we can't get to the 27 minutes or more of the bioenergy field, right? So that if you could feel that bioenergetic field, you would actually just enjoy that exchange. And so, therefore, you could actually have prolonged activity. So that is one of the factors in making sure that you are able to connect with your partner. Hold on just one moment. Thank you. Okay, so with that being said, in your relationship, especially in your long-term partnership, this is one of the areas where you can now extend and learn other type of bonding practices that stimulate the spiritual connection in your sexual union. So let me just give you those websites so that everyone can see where to go to. It's health-science-spirit.com. It's health-science-spirit.com. Also, there is the Chakra Shack, the chakrashack.com, ChakraShack.com, chakrashack.com. The Chakra Shack discusses the balance of the sacral chakra and what the benefits are of having a healthy second chakra or sacral chakra, that is the energy center around the sexual organs. So those are two of the websites that you can go to look for more information. And this breaks down the hormones, the chemical reaction in the bodies, and also gives some different ideas to create other stimuli that actually nurtures a sexual spiritual union. So I did want to share that with everyone. And then also, for anyone that's out there, you can go to my website. I'm at moonintuit.com, moonintuit.com, and I know that this will probably be highlighted on today's event post. So I want to thank everyone for allowing me to speak today. It has been such an honor. It's such a pleasure. And again, it is amazing. We are in a wonderful work. You two are doing an amazing work, just literally assisting everyone to know that it is okay to be consciously alive.
Right.
Yes.
Listen, we want to thank you. I know Koshana probably thank you on her own before you go, so I won't be long. But I really have to give you an extended thank you for so much. I mean, just in the format of being connected, which we always were. This just allowed our connection to be more visible and more immediate through the use of the internet. But I just wanted to thank you so much for all that you shared with me. I've actually taken your advice. I don't take a lot of advice well, but I've taken yours. I also appreciate sometimes, your understanding of me is kind of complex to explain. I don't have time because you have another appointment. But I just want to give you a deep, heartfelt, extended thank you for understanding me and accepting me where I was at, where I am, and where I'm going. I just want you to know that you're highly appreciated, and you're always welcome to come back to the show. Little did anybody know this was going to be my last show today. But after speaking with you and that you acknowledging us in the way that you did, I probably will continue. You know what I mean? I have an issue with patience that I'm working on a personal level. So I just wanted to tell you, I thank you so much. You really inspire me and enlighten me, probably more so than you know. And I need you to know that, all listeners to know that. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank
Absolutely. You. I love you. Head to poo, head to poo.
Love you, Mama. Head to poo.
Okay, so Shauna, that was I knew it was gonna be a good topic. I mean, I really did, but it
it's a powerful topic.
When it is it just went exactly how I'm expecting it to go. I mean, no, because it's so good. Because you know what? Here's the truth of the matter. Where we are as human beings. You know what I mean? Because I've had some issues. Not necessarily in my marriage, with the whole institution of marriage, okay? But now, my concept is changing because I'm seeing that the institution of marriage, it's different. It differs.
Right.
You know what I mean? However, my views on polygamy have not changed for the very reasons that she spoke of. I mean, when women go through these different changes during pregnancy or, during a relationship, the change and while being pregnant or having a baby. I think there's reason for everything, you know what I mean? And one of the reasons is, whether we want to accept it or not, there are more women, in the world. You can look it up anywhere. You can do it. You can do a survey. And I think that's all a part of it. So I think it's good that we did this show because it allows people to, the principles of expansion. You know what I mean? Opening up your mind and really seeing beyond what you've learned already, because none of us are completely there. You're never really going to get there, so to speak. So it's a continuum. And as you start to expand your mind, you know what I mean? Even though you're married, you do not possess or own that person, because this is something that was, forced on us from another way of thinking, someone else's ideology. But when I look at it like this, even though you're my wife, you're still your own separate entity. What we have done is we've come together by choice, not under any force or any law. So I mean, all these things, with the marriage concept, it's really just about that oneness. So I mean, you don't necessarily have to go and get this paper or have his last name to have this. It doesn't make you any better. Y'all shacking, y'all ain't married, this and that. If I've chosen her to be my mate, then basically she's my wife. So the thing is, I guess what I'm getting at is that, we need to start being in-depth thinkers. Okay, why am I attracted to this person? And go through all of that before you say, okay, this is it. This is who I want to be with. You know what I mean? Right. And then, we should be free with understanding, without animosity. If this part of the relationship has ended, then okay, so I'm done with that person. Not because I don't love you anymore. It's that either we've grown in different directions. We can still be civil and harmonious, and if there's children involved, we can still raise children. I mean, a parent can still, be a parent and be around the child as much as possible. But, we have all these different issues. That's probably going to take us a little off topic, and I don't want to go too far off topic, though. I do want to touch on, the spirituality of sex, but I want to put it out there in a raw form, you know what I mean? But, Kashana, let's go to break, you know what I'm saying, and let's go, behind the scenes and talk. But right now, people, it's a little after 6, so we're here until 7. Go ahead and listen to this song, and then we'll be back after the break.
Okay.
Okay, people. So we're back. Thank you for all the listeners. As we continue on the same topic on the second half of the show, it's going to be a little different, though. We're going to talk about some things on how we can reach these spiritual levels of sex. And right off the bat, one thing I want to bring up is that, you're actually doing yourself great harm when, before sex you feel like you need a drink or you need to smoke something or whatever you're doing. You're doing yourself a grave disservice because that numbs you to the full effects of sex. So, sex in its purest form should be in a completely sober mind. And if you love this person, then you should not have a problem with not needing a drink or needing to smoke something. I know that a lot of people got this thing about, marijuana gets me so high. And, marijuana is a depressant, it is a downer. You got different sativas and stuff. You got some brain for the brain, some for the body. Do yourself a favor. Have sex in a clean and sober mind and see the difference. You know what I'm saying? Do it out of love or want to share this experience with another human being. And I guarantee you that no drug can compare to the high of natural sex. But,
right.
Yeah. Anyway, Cleshana, anything you want to add to that or, talk to her, go ahead.
Well, just back on what you were just saying about not needing the drug or the alcohol, part of that is our inhibitions to really express ourselves freely during sex. I've noticed within my own sexual history that if it's a person that I'm in love with or that I really have a deep emotional connection to, I can really enjoy the sex. But if it's someone that you're not really in love with or open to, you need to get some type of drunk or alcohol. And like you said, it does ruin. It does not improve the sex. It actually makes it worse.
Right.
We have to realize that the brain is the most sexual organ on our body. We think it's our, the phallus and the vagina, but it's the brain. So when we're using these chemicals and we're changing the chemistry of our brains, a lot of guys don't even get up, when they're too drunk. A lot of women, our whole body numbs, especially if we're too drunk or we're too high. But for girls, a lot of times we feel like we need something to help us get comfortable with the whole sexual act. And I still think that goes back to that religious program we have in our mind that sex is shameful and that it's bad and that it's wrong, so that we have to kind of get something to help us come out of that, to release that lower ego and to be free with it. So I think that's why we use alcohol or we use drugs to get into the zone, to even be sexual. But like you said, it is a lot cleaner and it's a lot better when you can do it sober. You need to ask yourself, why can't you have sex sober? Why is it that you have to have a drink or go to the club and get really wasted and then you take a girl home? Why can't you just be you're in your own conscious mind and still enjoy that person? And usually that's because you're not really attracted to that person or you haven't built that emotional bond with that person. So that goes back to how sex is spiritual. You can't separate the two. You think that it's a physical act, but it is also a spiritual act. And that's why you want to drown out your spiritual self. You want to drown out your mind with all the drugs and alcohol so that you're not really there 100% focused. You can kind of say, what was that song? The alcohol made me do it.
Blame it on the alcohol, right?
Yeah, blame it on the alcohol.
Alcohol. That was my cut, though.
Right. But, and for women that comes from having inhibitions, that comes from having suppressing our sexual energy. So we'll drink or we'll smoke to allow that energy to come up. And like I said, I think that comes from that religious program that sex is negative, that sex is something wrong. So deep down in your subconscious mind, when you go to have the act of sex, you feel like you're doing something wrong. So you need something to drown that out.
Yeah, that is so true. That is probably, I don't know, Coach, there's something about you. You have a great brain. I don't know, it seems like you could be my daughter or something like that because you really have a level of intelligence that's kind of surpasses, I guess the norm or average. Matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. I'm about tired of biting my tongue for the sake of others, and I was kind of, enforced, I guess I could say just reminded tonight that I need to just go ahead and be complete in who I am. And the truth is, if you're not trying to expand, if you're not trying to increase your knowledge, your you're overstanding. You know, if you're not trying to reach new heights, then poor you. I mean, that's all I can say. Because, I mean, this is not something nobody can force on you. This is something that you know, it's either it's in you or it's not. You know what I mean? You have a choice to be, you know, complete in who you are. But that's exactly what it is. I mean, you know, we've gotten all this misinformed thing about sexuality. We are sex. Oh, don't talk about that in front of the children. No, that's not the topic.
Right.
It's how you talk about the topic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not something that's slutty and sleazy. It's not something that you should just do with anybody. And it just kind of, for lack of better words, it kills me that people, you know what I mean, that I know personally, you know, they've had these different experiences, and then they don't really want to share the misfortune or the ill side of that. I mean, you know, like you know, we've come to us as a people, as black people, we've come to use abortion as a method of birth control, and then you wonder why there's so much pain, why there's so much sorrow, why there's so much anger, why there's so much indecisiveness. Is because you actually broke a union. You know what I mean? Not with no man, with the Creator. Because if you laid down and the baby was inside of you, now if you aborted for medical reasons or something like that, that's it. But just aborted because he didn't want to be a daddy or you didn't want another baby right now, well, then you should have refrained from having sex. Because this is the energy that set the world into motion. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, you know, we control the world. We, as human beings, we control the world. And so until they really get that, you know what I mean, again, poor them. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, sex is a beautiful thing. And since I've been in the world, you know what I mean, I've had some good experiences. I had some that were not so good. You know what I mean? That's going to be detailed in my book. But the thing of it is that we need to know that we're energy. So when we exchange that sexual energy, there's nothing like it. You know what I mean? Because I guarantee you, if you're having sex with someone you love on a regular basis, there's going to be little time for frustration. There's going to be little time for, you know, just so much, I guess, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Indecisiveness. You know what I mean? When you're relaxed sexually, you can think clear, you can love clear, you have a certain calmness about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, even myself, I use myself for example. A lot of times, I'm frustrated. I mean, and I look for all these things to blame it on. When really, it's just that, you know, at periods you know, in my life, you know, I'm sexually frustrated. That's the plain and simple truth. I mean, and you know, sometimes I can elevate as to where it's not so much, you know, on the forefront of my mind. And then at other times it'd be like, nah, I don't want to talk. Ain't nothing right. This is what I need. You know. And then it's a trip because then once I get it,
intimacy is important.
Yeah, it's important. It is definitely important. You know,
it definitely is. I think I had posted something on our group page about how cuddling and intimacy actually cures depression and things like that. You know, it's so important, especially in a relationship. That closeness makes a lot of difference in how you relate to each other.
Yeah, it does.
For me, for a long time, and this is just my personal experience, I couldn't mix spirituality and sex. And I know it came from that religious program. So for me, if I met someone who was on my level spiritually, I just was it was very awkward to go from meditating to doing something dirty, you know, like getting nasty. And see, even saying dirty, that lets you know where the mind is. There's something wrong with it. So, you know, it took me a very long time where I was able to be attracted sexually to people who weren't as conscious than to people who were. Because when I would meet someone who I felt that was on my level spiritually, I wanted to meditate and read books and discuss books and watch documentaries, and then the idea of them, you know, performing a sexual act on me was just awkward for me. And it took me a while, and actually with being with my God King, he's the first one that I really felt so comfortable with. And our whole relationship, we started with meditating. You know, that's where we were doing an UMS-2 thing at our spiritual center, which is like a rebirth and rejuvenation thing, and we were doing it together. So every morning at 6 a.m., he would call me so we could meditate. And that was the first time I actually was able to bond with a person spiritually and sexually, which was totally a totally different experience for me. You know, it was just like, wow, I could have all of it. You know how, like, I don't know if that's something that anyone else has ever gone through, but, you know, you separate the two because of church. You know, it's like, okay, you go to church, and that's what you do at church, and then your freakiness, you keep that in the closet, you know, and not knowing how to let that be a part of who you are, you know. So I kind of experienced that, and it took me a while until I actually met him, that I was able to marry the both, spirituality and sex, and I was able to see how they were connected, how the physical and the spiritual is important to be together, because you can't really have sex without the spiritual part. But I was suppressing my spiritual self, you know, to be intimate with people who I didn't feel a spiritual connection to.
You know, that's true. I mean, there's no denying the power of love. I mean, nor the sexuality, that's the spirituality of sex. You know what I mean? Because when you think about this, you know, especially in just a monogamous union, I guess, or I don't even want to say monogamous. I don't really like that word. In a marriage or somebody that you're committed to. You know what I mean? Somebody where, you know, it's a one-on-one type setting. I mean, or whatever, and you share these intimacies. You really know that, you know, they're the great power. And just to touch on what you said, it is so, again, this is one of those moments, it's so phenomenal that you said that, because there's also a form of sex that many people are probably not aware of, and it's actually titled meditative sex. You know, it's where, you know, you and your partner meditate prior to sex, you know what I mean, kind of naked, and you sit there and, you know, across from each other. I don't know if there's any right way to do it, but you know, most of the time when we meditate with an open mind. But when you meditate on the act of sex that you're about to commit with your partner, and not really commit, indulge in, you know, when you think about that, and people, if you're listening out there, try it. You know, meditative sex, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like simply holding hands and you know, quite naturally, you know, breathing and clearing the mind. And, you know, if you do that prior to sex, I guarantee you that it's going to be a little different than what you're normally used to.
Right.
And it's, yeah, you know.
Right, it is. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, because what it is, Kashana, what I've learned, you know what I mean, just, you know, recently, I'm learning every day, but recently I've learned that, you know, those of us that are where we are, we're there for a purpose, and our only purpose is to teach, to teach, inform, or share, however you want to phrase it, because the information that we have or the knowledge that we have obtained is because we received it from teachers, and so it's just like, you know, the passing of the torch. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you know, again, you know, the so-called conscious community have taken so many concepts, and then, you know, everybody wants to be right, and what I'm learning that's working for me is, you know, I need to be a little less sympathetic. It's okay to be empathetic, but I kind of, you know, have to stay focused on self a little more. You know, at the same time, share, but be who I am. I mean, because, you know, I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm all of that, but I'm aggressive. I'm aggressive.
Right.
It's who I am. I've accepted it, and whoever hasn't accepted it, then that's their issue. And it really had a problem with me, where I would want to go back and tell people, oh, I'm not this, I'm not like that, this is a part of me. So, you know, even today, it's like, you know what? Look, this is me. You know, ain't no handcuffs. You don't have to stay in my life. You know what I mean? Either you want to be a part of it or you don't. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be all right, because I choose to be all right. So, you know, on this journey,
you know,
it is. Go ahead.
I was going to say there's a part as you go through the awakening and the ascension process, there's going to be a state that you get to where you no longer even consider the opinions of other people. You are here for a specific purpose, and that's the only focus you need to have. Other people's opinions will start to you won't even hear them. You know, right now sometimes when we're talking, you hear what other people may be thinking. You won't hear that anymore. You will no longer consider what they may be thinking. You will only say what you need to say and let that be it. You know, because when it comes to being a teacher, you can't consider what all the students are thinking. You know what I'm saying? You have to teach. You have to say what you've been put on this planet to say, be who you've been put on the planet to be. So it's going to be a place where you get to, and this is all a part of that. That's why you're dealing with it, because it's like, okay, the minute Rod is going to decide who cares what anyone thinks. One is not even our business. Who cares what they think? I don't need to know what's going on in your head. I have enough thoughts in my own head to be worried about what's going on in your head. You know what I mean? So we have to get to that place as teachers to where you no longer even consider the thoughts of other people, because they're irrelevant to what you came here to do. You came here to teach what you came to teach, and that's it. That's it. They'll let them deal with their thoughts. It's none of our business what they're thinking. And it's none of their business what we're thinking. You know what I mean? Let them deal with their thoughts. But go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Like I said, you know, this is what we do. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you know how this radio show came about. You know what I mean? And this is all, you know, working as it should. You know what I mean?
Right.
Plain and simple. And so, you know, just like I said, you know, on the topic, you know, there's a lot of information, but with any information that you receive, you need to always have the ability to be aware who you're receiving it from, where you're receiving it from, what's the motive. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, you have to want to receive it. I mean, some people may not even believe that there's a spiritual connection to sex, but I'm here to tell you that there is, you know, and take it for that. Take it for that, because there's no way short of having sex with a female that I would be able to prove it to another female, you know, other than my wife at this time. So, I mean, it's really not. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you something. You were touching on it, but you didn't go in deep on it. I don't know if you're comfortable with discussing it, but what are your views? What are your views on polygamy?
Oh, you know what? I feel like, you know, not that the man should have a sense of entitlement or not for sexual reasons, but I think for the purpose of procreation. You know what I mean? Because when you look at it now, instead of us combating, you know, with words, you know, this gay agenda, this homosexual agenda that's really just being we are being bombarded with this on a daily basis, whether it's, you know, a celebrity coming out, whether it's a rapper that's talking about it, whether it's whatever the boy's name is, singing about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just, you know what I mean? And I don't need anybody. I don't form an opinion of, if that's your choice, that's your choice. Just like the polygamy thing, that would be more appropriate to me if, you know, the women were all understanding of, you know, what the concepts were or what our opinions were, because at a certain point, I mean, just like women can't have babies, right? I mean, or they choose not to, put it like that. Because I think you can have one as long as your ovaries is dropping, you know, maybe you have a menstrual cycle. But I'm not a woman. So women, they start losing this thing, you know, society has told us, well, after a certain age, you know, it's not healthy because there's all these increased risks. So then what happens, okay, in a marriage when the man wants another child, you know what I'm saying, at 50, and then the wife is like, well, I'm done. You know what I mean? To me, this would be the benefit of having, you know, other mates. So that's my view on polygamy. Not just for the sexual reasons, but to procreate, you know what I mean? To you know, keep planting your seed. I mean, it's like a natural thing. I mean, I don't know how many men really, you know, feel this way or speak on it, but I know there's always along with me to create another human life that I can, try to impart, like the knowledge that I have now. I didn't have the same knowledge 9 years ago. I have a bright, intelligent 9-year-old, and 22 years ago, I didn't have the same awareness that I have now, So with them turning out the way that they did and me being where I'm at now, I'm thinking like, wow, I could just really just create somebody that could just really just, create me a little king, and he's just like, this is him, y'all. This is who you need to be listening to. You know what I mean? So those are my views. You know what I mean? I kind of take them lightly because there's nothing that I can really do without the cooperation of others. So if you look at that word, cooperation. So. Like I said, when you get into an enlightened state, this is something that it's your life. It's not something that you put on and take off. It's not something that you take pleasure in, boasting about who knows what, who's right or who's wrong. It's just really, it's a lot of self-expression. And, to get to a certain point, it requires a lot of study and research. And I think that most people kind of, they don't really. It's not in everybody. It's not in everybody. So
I saw a documentary. About 3 years back, and they basically calculated the amount of African American men who were in jail, the amount of African American men who are now homosexual, and the amount of African American men who were suffering from HIV or some type of severe venereal disease. And they were saying, now I'm not saying that I agree or I disagree, just stating what they said. They were saying based on those numbers, Black America or African American will soon become extinct. And the amount of women that are having abortions. And they were saying the only way to really help rebuild our nation is for us to become polygamous. You imagine the amount of women who are prostituting, the amount of women who are, have no homes, have nowhere to go and no one to take care of them. Children who are being raised by mothers without fathers, and things of that nature. But, they were saying that the only solution, one of the main solutions would be for us to become polygamous. And then you go back into our culture, and that was a normal part of our culture also in different parts of Africa. They were polygamous. So, it has become perverted. It becomes perverted when we get over here. And, a lot of brothers, which here's my thing is, a lot of brothers will get involved. I want to be a polygamist, but they're thinking of it strictly on a sexual level, and they're not thinking of the fact that they're supposed to be able to provide for these women. They're supposed to be able to provide for those children. That it's supposed to be a family unit, and it's not just based on, okay, I can have, a lot of sexual relationships with different women.
That's and you know what? Man, you just humble me right now so much because, first of all, I just want to extend gratitude to you for speaking on that information because I'm aware of that knowledge. But even more so before that, I guess it was an ancestral connection. And, doing my research, I realized how we didn't just procreate Africa. We procreated an entire planet, people.
Right.
Okay? I hope you got that, okay? Because I don't know if people understand this. We were all over the world before any other beings. People just keep confining us to Africa. Africa is where we originated from. But just like lions and other animals, they go out, they find their own space. We migrated throughout the universe, okay? And you might find just a few here or a few there. There's not a place even today where you will not find even if they turn into something else, whether they call themselves Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, or whatever, or Indians, all this different stuff, you're going to find black-skinned people, so we don't use the word dark-skinned, okay? You're going to find black-skinned people throughout this universe. I don't care where you go. Now, they're going to call themselves Brazilian, Cuban, and all these different things. Those are merely black people, okay? The only thing that's not black is the Caucasian, which also came from us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Again, people, if you want to read something, look up, Dr. Frances Cress Weissling. I mean, look her up. She's on YouTube. She's written several books. Study. This is not some stuff that I'm making up. But just getting back to the thing of polygamy. Not only are you able to provide, you need to be able to protect. Okay.
Right.
So this is going to cut down on the true polygamists anyway, because most males of today are not true protectors for whatever reason, whether it's been the drug usage or the diet or whatever. They're not in their natural state. You know what I mean? It takes really a fearless type of man, a warrior type mentality to provide for his wives, his children, like you said, financially, spiritually, and in every other way that you can think of. So this is something, again, that it's just not every average Joe would be able to be a true polygamist. Again, like you said, it's been so downtrodden with the sex. You know what I mean? And the funny part about it is that there's men and women out there, under the guise of marriage and every other thing, that have multiple sex partners right now. I mean, this is why you have these Jerry Springer shows, whatever. I don't know if it's Jerry Springer or Maury Povich. One of them said, "Well, who's the daddy?" Well, if you know who you was interacting with, you would know who's the daddy. But they want to make light of it. You know what I mean? And people want to criticize everybody else, but this is why, because some women will come on there and test 10 men. Now, really, you've been that busy? You got to test 10 men, and then all 10 is not the daddy? That's something wrong.
Right.
It's something wrong. Well, if you were in a setting where, by you being, a receptor as a female, and then you had this one mate, and then, you had the realms and the limits just within, your sister wives or whatever you want to refer to each other as, then you would know, okay, we're all in this unit. So there would be nothing to fear as far as, diseases and all this. And like, to me, having sex with a rubber on is a waste. I guess that's why my children are so far apart. I've always been able to show some restraint. You know what I'm saying? But very, very, very few times have I ever had sex with a condom. It's just not who I am. You know what I mean? It's like, if I got to do that,
it's artificial.
Yeah, we cool, because first of all, the woman's not getting a real sensation out of it anyway. You know what I mean? And then if a woman is so unsure of herself, then you need to be more sure. A lot of times, I don't want to get no AIDS or nothing like that. Well, then if you want to have sex with this person, you need to go down to the clinic. You know what I'm saying? Get checked out or whatever, and then go about it. You know what I mean? But there's a line that Ice Cube says, and I'll try to say it without using that terminology, but forget I'm thinking with my big head. Forget what my little head said. You understand me? He didn't say it in that exactly terminology. He used some expletives, but that's where I'm at. I mean, we got to have goals, and we got to start thinking. You know what I mean? We're all sexual beings. We need to talk about sex to our juvenile children. You know what I mean? So I'm talking pre-teenager, because now they're being exposed to sex in cartoons and all this different stuff. They're finding second and third grade interacting and sexual activities. You know what I mean? You got people in high school saying, well, it wasn't sex, I just gave them head. You know what I mean? Well, something's wrong. Something's wrong.
We need to educate them. And the reason why we're not educating them is because we still have that shame going on, which is so weird, because even when kids go through puberty, this might be a little deep to talk about, but people naturally start to masturbate at a certain age. You start to do all these things and start to explore your body sexually, and if you're not being properly taught, that's why that energy gets directed into all type of things that are not safe for you. We have so many children in high school now that think they're homosexual, that because they're the first exposure they've ever had to any sexual contact was with someone of the same sex, and no one has ever educated them. You know what I mean? On what this is and what's going on. So we don't realize that it's so important to start at elementary. Don't wait, because you don't know if that little girl is kissing on your little girl. and she's in second grade. You know what I mean? And you haven't educated your child on what's going on here. You know? So it is very important that we start at a young age teaching our children what this sexual energy is and how to direct that sexual energy and how not to be ashamed of themselves. Because, you know, adults don't even admit that they masturbate. You know, adults won't even talk about masturbation. And that's just them touching themselves. And let's not talk about someone else touching you. You know, that's just you touching you.
Well, that's not a topic for next week. That's not a topic for next week because I didn't think I would be masturbating after I was married. But I found out that wasn't true. Yeah, I'll take it out, boy. I tell you, don't get me started on the truth now. I'm telling you now. Whip it out and take care of it like shit. Yeah, I'll stay with the notion in my past.
We need to talk about that because I remember, because women will get completely offended if they walk in and you got a porno on and you're doing it to yourself and it's like, what? I'm in the living room. What's going on? Why didn't you tell me we were having a party in here? So, and it's funny how you can be in a relationship and still want to go be by yourself. So, yeah, we should talk about that. That is a deep topic right there.
Yeah, really. But when you know, that's like I said, when it's all coming from a healthy mind, think about this, okay? Just think about the whole meeting, you know, and the physical process of just, you know, two distinct and different minds, you know what I mean? Becoming aware, you know, really just becoming aware, you know, of each other as they really are,
right.
You know what I mean? And then we just do away with all the fantasy and everything that prompted the meeting, and we really just go into, you know, the pure love and the blissfulness of the sex. I mean, just the touching, you know, the whole thing. And if we were able to, you know, really be who we are as enlightened beings, and I mean, where would the problem be with this act, you know, being such a possessive, like, oh no, I mean, it's mine. I mean, when do we lose that? At what point do we see that everything we've been doing has only gotten us here, which is basically a ball of confusion? You know, when do we expand our horizons and go beyond with everything that we've been taught? You know, when can men sit down and not have a problem with, you know, okay, well, she with you now. I had it before you, after you, or whatever. None of that's important. But, you know, we get people like, you know, in the music industry, and this is, and you have to realize why music is such an influence. And this is on a whole different topic, but it's psychologically proven. Everything we hear, as well as visualize, goes into our subconscious. So when we hear, you know, songs like Ray J, oh, I had it first, and so now, you know, that's so damn childish and juvenile. Because there's people that I grew up with that have, you know, and there's women that my wife grew up with that I had them or they had me before me and my wife became husband and wife.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what? What's the big deal? What about what's happening now? You know what I mean? What's the focus now? And Koshana, you know what? I've learned that, you know, us as a people, you know, enlightened, conscious or not, we have so many issues that just people are just not man or woman enough just to talk about. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody wants to be in the closet, you know, or say I'm out, I'm this and I'm that. They want to place judgment. People, especially Facebook. Facebook should be like, there should be somebody to say, listen, okay, I've been reviewing your posts and you need counseling. Because people do not know how to comprehend. You know what I mean? They do not. Again, so for everybody, this show is recorded. You know, if you're listening, if not, you can play it back later. But I hope this message really gets out tonight. You know, quit thinking that you know what somebody is saying if you haven't studied comprehension. Because I can read a post, and I know what the post is saying. I can comment on the post, and then it goes haywire after that. Oh, well, you said this. No, that's not what I said. Read the post. You know what I'm saying? Read the post. Work on your comprehension. And if you don't know, ask me, inbox me, call me so I can explain it to you in simple detail exactly what I'm saying. You know?
I think
So
people are spending way too much time on Facebook. If it gets to the point to where you're arguing and you're debating, I mean, you have to take a break if it's that serious. You know, it's supposed to be a social networking tool. It's supposed to be somewhere where you come, you share information. You know, if there's something you don't agree with, like you say, inbox the person if you really want to go in depth on it. But I don't even pay attention to posts that I'm not even, if I don't vibrate with it, I just don't vibrate with it. I feel like everyone has the freedom of speech. You know, they can put whatever they like.
I just comment. You know, we got a caller right now. Let's take this caller right now. But
okay.
Yeah, we're gonna finish that topic, and then we're gonna think of a topic for next week, and it's gonna be good. But we need to stay on this, not part 2 or nothing like that. Maybe the masturbation thing. See if we can get some people to open up about how they masturbate.
Right, that's a deep topic.
Caller 4541. You're on the air right now with the Superconscious Outlet. They hung up. Okay. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But I think that topic, because what it really is peeling off the layers of inhibition that we suffer from. It part of really reaching our creativity is to tap back into our spiritual self. At one point in Africa, and probably still, we were walking around with no shirts on. You see the ancient Kemetic statues where they have the phallus out, the ankh is the vagina. They show pictures of the king touching, you know, the pharaoh touching the vagina. You know, they were very comfortable with themselves sexually, you know.
Right.
And so somehow we've gotten to a place where now sex is just the most embarrassing thing, or it's exciting, but we're still shy to talk about it, you know.
Right.
So, and that's not natural. That's actually not our natural state of being. We have to realize that, you know, we have to recognize that sex is spiritual as well as physical. And that's why it's a conduit of love. That's why it is one of the agents of love, because it's physical and spiritual. So part of our tapping back into our love vibration, our creative energy, is being comfortable with our sexual energy, knowing how to use that. And next week when we get on to the masturbation, I've been taught by certain people who are really deep into sex that you can create or manifest something if you think of it while you're having an orgasm. If you attach with your
I wanted to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I wanted to touch on that. When you and your partner take the time, and when you climax or come together, that is one of the most. This is also, there is so much mental energy, and in that moment of that's like the ultimate climax anyway for most people. But if you can be aware of that, and if you can focus your energy on creating that moment, it is guaranteed to come into fruition. I promise you.
Yeah.
The energy is there. No other energy at that point. And another thing I wanted to talk on, just real briefly about what you said, is the touching and embracing. You know, we don't even hug each other. I mean, we're so standoffish. You know, I live in a community where it's, there's predominantly Caucasian or whatever, white people, however you want to, call it. I look at them as people, because until they show me different, you know what I mean? Because I don't have no problem with nobody. Well, I do have a problem with the 1%, and these are these rich, wealthy men that simply dictate and run the world, not just black people. They manipulate their own people as well, okay? So that's what I have a problem with. It's these systems and organizations that we as people can do something to change. I mean, there's a big thing in the media right now about the guy in the NBA. You know, this man has been a racist forever. You know, however he owns, damn near, a big portion of San Diego, a big portion of the San Fernando Valley. He's a slumlord. And so now he made this comment about blacks, and it just sets the media off. It's almost like they play with us with the media, and I posted that, just for that same reason. He's the owner of the Clippers. Clippers are in the playoff right now. All of this is a distraction. I posted something about it today just to see what kind of feedback that I would get. And, we're so easily manipulated and misguided that it's not even funny. You know what I mean? But we need to get back loving each other, embracing each other, telling each other we love each other. But more so than telling each other, we need to start showing each other that we love each other. We need to start building our own support networks. And the thing about it is, we're going to start this. You know, when I say you and me and a few others, or whatever, we're going to start showing, listen, this is an extended family. I mean, this is what we're really about, and this is how we function. I'm so glad that the family reunion, the Black family reunion, is coming up. You know,
yes.
That's going to be a good time to meet a bunch of people and say, listen, we can congregate like this more often. Without all this aggression, without all this, this hate for each other, this disdain that we display towards each other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Without mocking each other, without telling so many jokes about each other. You know what I mean? How about we just simply love each other, have fun? We can find humor. We can find laughter. But, I mean, people take things derogatory and then try to make it like, oh, it's okay, you know what I mean, to be a little funny and talk about this, you know what I mean? It's not okay to insult people.
Right.
It's really not.
Right.
I mean, I've done it myself, as in the form of jokes. But, as you grow and you expand, you know what I mean, nobody told me that it was harmful or that, that didn't make somebody feel good. I actually know people that lost their lives over jokes, over a joke, you know what I mean? Someone lost their father, someone lost their son, someone lost a brother over a joke, you know what I mean? It also ruined the life of the individual who perpetrated the act, Yeah.
So,
And it involved so many people that people that were there, people that were standing around, and other people got injured. You know what I mean? So this is something about we're at the place right now. Something that is wrong with us because we've been so embedded into this point as to where I don't want to listen to nobody. I don't want to be led nowhere. Nobody's my leader. I'm my own person. As much as I would like to say I don't need anybody, I need some people. I might not need everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the people that I attract into my life are the ones that I need. And so I'm just learning and growing that, the focus is going to be more on the ones that I want to build with, and the ones that don't want to build, they will not be my major concern any longer.
Right.
Anyway, we're coming up on the last 5 minutes. Did you want to go over the Sistars Keeper, the Blacks Be Like? You want to go over that? Slow or whatever?
I sure will. You want me to do the shows for next week too?
Yeah. Go ahead and do our show for next week, and after that, we out of here.
Okay. Well, we want to give one more shout out to our sponsors, Universal Radio, Brother God Amin-Ra Darby. You can find him at aminradarby.com or amazon.com. Another shout out to Blacks Be Like at facebook.com/BlacksBeLike1. A big shout out to Devon Allens, who has his Reshape the People workout and meal plan. You guys call this brother at 310-438-0154. And a lovely shout out to our goddesses at My Sistars Keeper. You can find them on Facebook, My Sistars, Sistars spelled SISTARS, Keeper. And remember, family, Brother God Umar Johnson is doing his lecture tomorrow night, 5 p.m. at Blessed Love. They're located at 1404 West Vernon Avenue, Los Angeles, California. General admission is $20. Coming up this week, we have Monday, the Jay Allen Show, hosted by Jay Allen and Nasir Rashad Shaheed at 7 p.m. Pacific Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Wednesday, we have You Must Learn, hosted by Lamar and Martin, 7 p.m. Pacific Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday, of course, we have the Super Conscious Outlet, hosted by myself and Brother God Rod Guerrero at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Sunday, we have Let's Talk About It, hosted by our goddess, Ms. Zamaria and Tiffany Gibson at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Join us next week, family. We love you. One love, one goal, one destiny. Peace.
Ah, that's beautiful. Listen, before we get out of here, y'all check out Z's show tomorrow. Sisters Mariah David, Tiffany Gibson. They got a special host. You know what I'm saying? Check them out tomorrow. Especially ladies. Ladies, check that show out tomorrow. You know, you got that power in the yoni.
Shayla.
You need to know how to use it as a nourishing tool and not a tool to try to tear me down. You know, yeah. So learn how to empower me and boost my energy with that yoni, girl. Not for real. Hey, listen, y'all, we out of here. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. I know I did. So
I did.
You had a good time tonight, Koshana?
I had a great time.
Okay, well then, Z, wrap it up. Like my boys say, like a dope church. We out here.